Hey pals! Welcome to another episode of the Plot Pals podcast. In this episode, we're going to compare two Oscar nominees.
Oscar contenders, The Zone of Interest and Killers of the Flower Moon. Two films about the exact same theme. How did this happen? Conformity, denial, about death,
Genocide.
and lying to yourself and living with that lie.
And also about two topics or two times in history that humans did horrific things. And these two movies capture that very beautifully. You get an idea of what actually happened during that time. So,
That's true.
Cool
It's such a question you always have. How could these people do such a terrible thing?
Exactly. Not knowing that you would do the same thing if you were in those people's shoes. So, yeah. We went to watch The Zone of Interest in theaters. It was such an experience. It's so different from any movie that you've ever seen before. And the first, I think, 5 minutes or something, 2 minutes, something like that, is just black, pitch black. There's only horrific sounds. Such a monstrous
it's not
sound.
even monstrous. That's the crazy thing. It's like a
What?
lullaby.
What?
The sound is ooh.
But it
so
gets
soft.
No. It was so terrifying
I know.
for me. It was everything is dark and it's a theater experience. I think you got to watch this movie at least once in theater.
I know. Exactly.
Because it's made for that, I guess. And then we get from that sound, which for me was so monstrous, goes to the sound of these birds singing and then this beautiful place and scenery. Just the contrast. The whole movie is about contrast. And in the whole entire movie, you don't see one terrible thing happen, but you are scared. You're so scared because you know what is happening behind the walls. So
That's true. Such a choice not to show actual violence.
but still you get scared and you actually feel what is happening. That's such a hard thing to do. How did they convey this feeling to us as audience without even showing the violence? That's so cool. I don't know even. That's
know.
some art and some skill that they
Exactly.
had.
And a big part of it is we know what happened at that time, so everyone knows this. All they have to do is just show smoke, and we know what happened.
Right. I guess we have to talk about what the movie is even about. It's about World War II. It's Germany, and you know what happens at that time. Wow. It's about this family that is I think the head of the family, the father, is one of the generals or something of Hitler's army or something like that, and they're residents of residents that are so close to this camp, to a concentration camp, and it's there's only a wall between them and the people and the horrific things and the violence that is happening on the other side. But these people are living such animated lives. It's insane how beautiful their garden is, how oblivious they are, or even they're not. They just don't care about what's happening over there. There's fires. There's we know what is happening over there. The smoke, it's horrifying. The
screaming, the gunshots.
Oh my God. And everybody in the family knows, even the children, but it's they're so brainwashed, or I don't even know what's happening, but they just don't see beyond that. They don't see that there's humans over there. That easily could have been them. But it's
exactly.
just
They're living a life as if it's not even there. They're trying to grow their garden.
Right.
This guy is trying to have a birthday party.
I
It's
know.
the things that are happening are really mundane.
And they go swimming, and the scenery, oh my God, the jungles and the nature is so beautiful that you get absorbed in that. But at the same time, you can't even blame these people because you know that if you were in their place, you would do the same thing.
I know. It's you're even doing the same thing today. There's war
Exactly.
all over the world.
Yeah.
And we don't care at all. We're here recording a podcast.
That's true. I know. And imagine even before that, when you are so absorbed in your patriotic ideas or your family, or you're not that conscious, and you just take in whatever everybody gives you. If people say, oh, this is the enemy, we got to go after them or something, you would blindly do that. Or if your family has certain political opinions, you would agree with that blindly without even questioning it. So it's anybody in their place would have done the same thing. Wouldn't you agree?
No,
Even
I
though
think so.
that's we would deny that. Even though
And that's the big problem is you think you would be better if you were in that place.
that's true.
But there's just, you can look at so many examples and you wouldn't.
Exactly. Listen, like we were in Iran, okay? And in Iran, every day something like that happens. They have this specific prison and they put like political prisoners in there. These people haven't done any like crimes like that. They just said their opinions maybe on social media. They maybe wrote something. They take these people and put them in these prisons that are like nobody can get through. It's so protected, and it's in the capital, and it's like that sounded like Hunger Games, but it's true. And then it's like called Evin prison, and they do the worst kind of tortures you can think of. I'm sure it's not as bad as the Germans, what Germans did, but it's like on the same level. And they do it to their own people, just like Germans did to their own citizens, just because they had different opinions or religions. And in Iran, they do that even today. Like if you have a different religion, they would do that. If you practice Christianity or, for example, Judaism or something like that, they would take you. They don't care.
And then even kids are told only Islam is good, only our religion.
Of course. And you can't say anything. Even if your neighbor, your friend is taken, okay, and you are so against the government, you won't say a thing. That wouldn't make a change because they would take you too, and they would take your family, and they would ruin everything. Like, it doesn't even make sense to do that. The best thing would be to be aware, make other people awake and aware at the same time. So a big change would happen because like individually you can't do anything in that society.
That's right. In the society, yeah. But in real life, like individually, that's the only way you can make a decision. So let's look at something smaller. Of course, you know, if you look at Iran, yeah, everyone's getting brainwashed like this. But you could just look at a group of friends, even. This is happening between them.
Yeah.
So imagine everyone in the group smokes cigarettes. There's one person who doesn't smoke. Just because they're around these people who are saying it's good, who are saying do it, just come, it'll be fun, and also like you're not cool if you don't, then this person who doesn't smoke is gonna make the wrong decision.
Absolutely.
So then you put that in a bigger perspective of like, okay, thousands of leaders, military leaders and political leaders are saying this is the right decision, and this individual is gonna make the choice that's wrong.
That's so true. Because like that's human nature though. It is human nature. We are conditioned to take in whatever others tell us. Our brain is made in a way that it just takes in whatever it is told. And that's how we survive. Like we get our identity from people, we get our identity from society, and then we fight for it. And that's basically it. And in a group, of course, there's naturally going to be someone that is the leader, someone that will pour into other people's minds.
And the crazy thing is, there was an experiment where they would bring a bunch of people in and they would show them these lines. And they would say, and then they would show an extra line on the side. And the lines are different length.
Right.
And then they would say, okay, tell me which line is the same length as the one I'm showing you. And then everyone in the experiment would be in on it to lie, and there would be one person who's there for the truth. And then you would see this person who can see clearly the lines are the same. He would choose the wrong one just because everyone else is choosing the wrong one. So he didn't want to be shunned by society, or maybe he actually believed like, oh, maybe the group is right and I'm stupid. But he would clearly choose the line that's like not the same length at all.
Absolutely. You know, you've never done that? I think we do this every day. Imagine when you're like walking on the sidewalk and then you get to like a, what is it called? Like the lights of the street. The sidewalk lights. I don't even know. And then you see somebody just walk through it, even though it's still red. You would follow that person.
That's true.
That's so insane. I've done that so many times, and I'm like, oh, you're such a sheep. You just follow this person blindly, even though a car is coming over there. And that like makes me so mad about myself. But like, I guess everybody experiences that, and this is just how humans are.
Humans are like sheep in so many ways, actually.
Of course, yeah.
Sheep, I had to take care of sheep for some time, so I know so much about them.
Enlighten me. That's so good.
Sheep think that they're really mischievous and think that they're like they have their own what's it called, free will. So like when you tell them, sheep, go into your place, they don't go. They always run around you and they don't want to listen to you.
Right.
Because they're rebellious. But then they're actually not rebellious at all. They're such followers. If one sheep goes in a direction, all the other sheep start following that one. Like if you just get one of the sheep in, then 500 other sheep will go in.
Damn.
So they have this illusion of free will and rebelliousness, but really they will just follow.
Humans are so similar to sheep now that you say it. Yeah.
And also 2,000 years ago, this guy Jesus was a shepherd.
Yes, that's true.
So he's having these revelations and he's writing about them.
Crazy.
Like, you guys are all like my sheep.
And you had that too? Now you should start a religion, like a cult or something like that. Follow humans, her religion. So subscribe to her religion.
This is all you need to know. Humans are similar to sheep. And also when you're put in bad situations, you just start following people blindly. Or just put in good situations, in any situation that you're put.
Right.
And the crazy thing is, everything we say is crazy in this episode.
Right.
This one also.
It's a crazy episode.
Apparently, in groups, you make more drastic decisions than individually. So you would think that a group would make a better decision because there's so many more minds. But actually, it's scientifically proven that you will make a more dramatic, drastic, lasting, like painful decision.
Whoa.
So as a group, you might decide, oh, we should kill that guy. But an individual is much less likely to decide.
Wow. That's so crazy.
You get to this like this hurt brain, like nothing matters anymore. Yeah, let's get
I know. Even anytime we hang out with each other, we do some crazy things every time, which we wouldn't do individually, like on our own. Exactly. And, like, it always happens because, like, you are on another level, I guess. Like, you think you are protected. You kind of think that you are, I don't know, you just want to be cool, I guess. Something like that. But then also, on the other hand, in a group, it's actually not the majority that decides what to do, but the minority that is the loudest. It's always that. Like, imagine in a classroom, right? It's always the same. There's always a few people that are so loud, and like they're the funny people, the popular people, they're a handful. But they outrule everybody else in the class. The nerds, the sporty people, everyone that is there. Like, oh God, it's so insane. In society, that is the same. Like, whoever rules the society is not actually the majority. It's not the majority. It's the minority that is the loudest, that have the loudest voice.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
You should use your voice to lead a group then, instead of just being quiet. I always thought in class you have to be kind and nice and like not speak up.
I know, me too.
But you could have spoken up and made a change.
But the problem is this, okay? I did spoke up, but because it was only me and nobody else backed me up, my sheepish friends, friends, that they didn't like support me, even though they had the same idea. They weren't the loudest, okay?
What kind of opinions would you voice?
I would, about religion, about the government, I would say anything I wanted in the class. I would challenge the teachers, I would say anything, and then, because like I was so, and the crazy thing is that it wasn't even my opinions, it was my dad's and like my family. So my family was so political. They would talk about these things, especially because I was influenced by my dad. I would say the same things or think about these things and say it also. So if you think about it, it wasn't even my ideas, it was my dad's. So yeah,
you know what, at least you listen to your dad. I don't know what I was listening to. I was so brainwashed. So I remember as a 5-year-old, distinctly remember this.
Wow.
I saw
you don't have a good memory. I'm surprised you remember that.
Like 5, 6, something like this. I see a picture of our supreme leader, Khamenei.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, I don't care what anyone says about this guy. I think he's good. I like him.
Damn!
And guess what? This is the ultimate brainwashing because you're actually getting rid of all of the bad things you're hearing about him.
But you're rebelling
back to the source. Yeah, you're rebelling
against your family and the truth. Yeah. Oh God.
And they put this image out of him, like he's an old man, sickly. He's so kind,
and like the beard and like this hazy filters that they put on him that makes his face look so good.
Exactly. And so like, just these kids are like, oh, he's such an angel.
That's so crazy because I think when I was a kid, I was thinking that too. You know, all of our books, our elementary and high school books, have a big picture of the supreme leader and the previous leader on 2 pages, like in color, bold.
That's right. And every classroom has those
Every classroom has the 2 on top. Like we can have.
That's right, exactly.
It's so insane. And it reminds me of 1984 again, George Orwell, like the Big Brother that they thought about. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Or why go so far? The zone of interest, the Hitler photos in the room.
Exactly.
Now, a cool thing about zone of interest structure. So you're saying it's these mundane things that the family's doing. Yeah, it's true. They're swimming, partying, or whatever.
Right.
But then everything changes when the man has to move and work somewhere else.
I know.
What does that remind you of?
Immigration?
Right, that too. And also like how the Jewish people were taken from their homes and told to go somewhere else.
And the fact that nobody is safe, even if you're in your bubble, you are still affected by the things that are happening in your society, in your world.
That's right. This guy thought he was a leader in the Nazi camp. He will be all good.
Exactly.
And then when he's told to leave his house, and now he sees, oh, his family doesn't even care about him. You know another crazy thing?
What? Tell me
about this. The way they filmed this movie, they put hidden cameras inside of the house, so they didn't film in a normal way at all. There was no lights, no cameras, no action. They just hid cameras.
It's a reality show then.
Yeah.
What the heck?
And they were just like, okay, go play in the room. Well, not play, but like go act it out.
That's why it seemed so natural somehow.
Yeah, it seemed like a documentary.
Absolutely. It was like, it's crazy, but I was seeing my relatives somehow. Yeah. Because like the same kind of demeanor, you know, when the women were gathered, they were gossiping, or when the mom came, the same questions they asked. You know, when she started to show mom around the house and say, oh, this is the bedroom, this is the kids' bedroom, this is our garden. I've done that a million times to our guests. And it's like you're actually seeing your life somehow in this.
Same with this and Killers of the Flower Moon.
Absolutely.
Didn't you think that old guy was like a grandfather to you?
Oh, yeah. I was sure I have someone in my life like this. Like, I've seen someone like that, for sure.
You reminded me of my grandma. I was like, you're evil. You should go.
Wow.
But that's another chapter. So, yeah, they make it seem so realistic, and they make it so crispy, modern technology, like, that you don't even think you're watching 1940s. You really are seeing life today.
Absolutely.
And that is much more affecting, actually, than if it was stylized, like the film is supposed to look old, you know? And, oh, this happened in the past. They don't do that.
Right.
They make you feel like this could be today.
You know, you have always this idea that, like, from 1900s, like early 20th century, the life was black and white. You kind of think that people saw everything black and white, everything was black and white. But somehow before that, like the 18th century or the 19th century, I'm always like, oh, they were colored. They saw everything colored. But not the 20th century. It was all black and white. So, but when you see it this way, as you say, so modern and all of that, it's like you are living there too. So true. It's like it came to life. Absolutely.
And then there was these sections of black and white, but it's all inverted. And there's a girl picking apples, taking them to the people at the camp. And somehow that was the scariest part of the movie, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I've never seen actually a movie use that effect before. Have you?
No. Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, I've seen that effect. I've even tried it, but never seen it in a movie. So it's like an X-ray almost. And the girl is just putting the apples in the way. And you don't even know what's happening. It's like a fairy tale kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Hansel and Gretel or something like that.
Exactly.
I'm not even sure which one was it, but there's one that they just put some stuff along the way, some food.
Exactly.
So in this one, I thought that's like the thing. Why is it like happening? Until like midway, I think you realize that this girl is putting food for the prisoners there. So...
yeah, exactly. Like, what makes you be scared of those scenes? Maybe because it's an open space, it's nighttime.
And she's rebelling also.
Like, she could get caught.
Even though, you know, the Germans are at wrong. The Nazis are at wrong. They're doing something wrong. But somehow, you're scared of this girl that is doing something good. Because you're living in that world.
That's right, exactly. And the music, too. So scary.
I didn't know, to this day, who this girl is in the family.
That's
right.
You know? Yeah, they kind of made it seem like she was one of the servants, but I don't even think it matters. It's more like what you described, that you're supposed to root for this girl. She's a good girl.
Yeah.
But she's a good girl. But because you've been in the German world, now you're thinking.
Absolutely.
She's scary. Did you even realize how much of the screaming sounds and like the torture sounds are all throughout the film?
There are so many, but...
There are so many, exactly. But I did not know this until I read it somewhere. Because it just goes in your head, like you don't think about it.
Right.
But even when they're in the garden, sleeping, partying, anything, there's the sound of the torturing in the background.
Whoa.
Just quietly, you hear the gunshots, you hear the screaming, shoveling, fire, all these different things.
Wow, I didn't realize it.
I know, but it goes in your head. That's why when me and you walked out of the theater, at least I was shaking, like for real.
Me
I was
too.
like, I couldn't talk.
Me too. I don't know if it was like cold or anything. It wasn't even
cold.
No,
it wasn't cold because we were inside the whole time.
But I was, exactly, me too. I was shaking even when we were in the car. And even before that, I couldn't watch some of the scenes somehow. I was like, oh God, I was so tense. I was so tense.
Exactly. And the movie finished. We're just sitting there still watching the credits go. And
we didn't even talk. We usually get our phones out and film each other. Like,
I know. We usually make TikToks at that time.
Yeah, but nothing.
So that's how the sound has an effect. Of course, the story as well, but
it was just the story. Told it. They just. I'm telling you, like, they have to win something for this because they didn't show any violence, but still you're shaking, like trembling.
They didn't show any violence, but they showed some specific shots. Like they show the guy. His face is getting hit by blood because he's standing on top of things happening. And he has a look of like, I'm not going to let this bother me, or whatever he's thinking. Yeah. And somehow that shot is more striking than anything they could have shown of actual violence. That would just be exploiting what happened.
That's true.
Why would you show that?
And then at the end when we see the shoes and the museum.
Yeah, exactly. Like in another movie, you would say that's so cheap. You're just showing the present time. What is this? A documentary? What are you doing?
Was that the present time? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe they had it even during that time. I'm sure it was during that time.
Well,
I mean,
because of the outfits they were wearing. And also there was
the maids?
Yeah, I think it was present time because there was also these gates. Yeah, there was vacuum, exactly. But these, you know, those black, like a
black,
like frame, I don't know, something that you walk through. Like they put that at the airport.
I see. Yeah.
So they put those there because people come to visit.
You underestimate World War II. There were so many technologies and things that happened.
No, I'm sure the technology was there, but they weren't letting people come visit it.
Oh,
you know, and the fire, everything was off.
I thought they would like to show off their accomplishments to their people.
I think this might be wrong, but I think they were hiding it from everyone other than the German leaders.
Oh.
And like their families, because they didn't want the world to know.
That's true. That's so true because the world didn't know about what was happening there. So of course German citizens even didn't know.
Yeah,
and why would they even be discreet with it? With like, you know, hiding these Jewish people, not even telling them, just
that's true.
Kind of like
stealing them. Basically.
Exactly. But they don't even know what is happening. They're just going.
So I think even German people just knew something bad is happening to them. To the Jewish people, but didn't know exactly what.
Wow.
So that's why, and then they cut to the present time. All they show is a museum, and we see the shoes and the
But the crazy thing is that, I said it again. The crazy thing is that they are cleaning this. Like there are shoes in the background, piles and piles of shoes of kids and women and men, and their clothes all over. Like that's a museum. But they're just cleaning it. They're
so absurd and ironic. This is a place where people were dead, dying every second, and it was a place of filth. People are sick. They're just like peeing on the ground. Probably they have no place to go, and now you're cleaning it for us.
Let me clean.
Yeah, it's so weird, but really effective. And then immediately they cut back to the guy now in the past time, and he's for the first time thinking about what have I done. Of course, he's gonna continue to do this.
Of course, and I don't even think he was questioning what he was doing.
I think just his subconscious realized, because you know how you throw up?
Absolutely. Gut tells the truth. You know, that's like the thing. Your gut is so in tune with like what is happening. It just is so in tune with your subconscious, with your conscious mind, that you can realize what the other person's vibes are or who the other person that you're talking to is based on what your gut tells you. So for example, if you have this sickening butterfly thing, okay, ladies, women think that if they have this butterfly thing, that's a good sign. Oh, I got the butterflies when I was talking to this guy. But no, run away as soon as you get that. Okay. Yes, that means that you're nervous around them. There's something these people are hiding, or like something would happen. So you better get away from these people.
Wow.
If you're actually nauseous and want to like vomit, that means that, yes. Stress, yes, all these things, but it's also about like gut has its own intelligence. It's actually so insane. It's so insane the way that it can tell you what is happening. So you can know a lot about yourself and your body based on your gut feeling.
Anna starting a gut religious activity.
It's not a religion. You search it. It's like everybody knows about this.
Yeah, I feel like that's why.
That's why they say gut feeling.
Oh, right.
They always say that. It's because it's a thing. It's about the energy and all of that. But you go on, talk about yourself.
Well, I was gonna say, if you run away as soon as you feel the butterflies, aren't you just avoiding romance altogether?
Well, romance is an illusion in itself. So yes, please do run away from it.
Okay, if you subscribe to the Gut Health program by Anna,
or if you research something about this stuff, you would know that this actually exists, and you wouldn't say that.
It's true.
You feel like I feel like you are like DiCaprio, this guy in that film, and you're like, Western science is like that, and I'm like, no, the Eastern way is the best, and like you gotta heal naturally with your energies and connecting and being in tune. But you realize at the end who is the better one, who is the one that is more at peace with themselves. Who is
That's
it?
Right.
Molly?
It is Molly, but she dies from insulin. Well, she dies from
diabetes. Yes, I do love sugar too a lot. But
okay. So inappropriate.
No. But then I'm just trying to find common ground between the film and ourselves, so we could connect.
You know what? What she did was so good in the storm.
Right.
She's just like, we have to be quiet for a while. Wasn't that amazing? Now they just listen to the storm.
I loved it. You know, indigenous people actually respect nature so much. And I would love to learn so much more about them. About like how do they connect with nature? What are their ideas about different things? They respect it so much.
That's true. They're praying when the sun comes out, when it goes down. And they're in nature all the time.
They're
at
so
least in this
at
movie,
peace. And like this girl, Molly, you can see it in her face. She is like one of the most confident people I've ever seen. Like true confidence looks like that. It's the inner strength that you have, the inner peace that you have. You don't react to things like that. And that's how you know somebody is secure.
Exactly. She looks so intelligent too. It's like she knows the answer to every question.
Because like I'm sure she does, because when you are like still, and she always says that, be still, don't talk, because like she's so in control of her mind, and she's so present, and she's so in tune with nature and with herself and everybody, that even when she realizes that the guy she loved and she married and was her husband killed not all of her sisters but tried to even poison her, and everything that happened to her was because of this guy. Did you see her reaction?
I know.
Could never be me.
I know. She was basically like, I feel sorry for you. Even though
she didn't even
did all these
right. She didn't even say anything. She was just disappointed in him. Especially because like, why didn't you tell me the truth? Like the last truth, that you poisoned me. And because he didn't say it, she just walked away like that. That's like the picture of strength and confidence.
That's right. And she was a real woman. You can't even forget this.
Wow.
Her 4 sisters were killed. Her daughter died. Her mom died.
And not even that, like, you know, even to this day, so many things are happening to indigenous women. When I was in high school, we had this project that we would listen to this indigenous podcast. Like, it was an investigating podcast. And they were talking about murdered girls and women that were indigenous. And, oh, my God, it was so insane. They get killed all the time to this day. On top of that, not to say even 20 years ago, there was like residential schools still in Canada that they would just slaughter these kids, these students. I don't understand them away from their
family, teach them.
Why is there such cruel things against these people?
Yeah, what?
These are such peaceful people. I don't understand why this extent of things happen to them. Like, why did they go this far with it?
These white people wanted the land. So they came and saw the land is occupied. And so they kicked the indigenous people out.
Right.
Put them into camps, actually very similar to what the Germans did.
And put their kids also in residential schools, which is like a brainwashing thing again.
And we're going to try to turn these kids into Westerners.
Absolutely.
And even like with violence, not just with thought.
Of course.
And then killing too, what are you talking about? And the fact that these indigenous people are so similar to me and you, because we're also indigenous from Iran.
Right.
But you see their culture, the way they're with like the sheep, they're in the grass area. Even when they're
grass
area. They're like,
I know.
we do these things.
Right. They're even though we're not very proficient, I wish to learn that, but
even they're singing, like the way the women howl in their singing.
Exactly.
All of that is so similar to how we grew up. So then we have this connection even more.
But the thing is, unfortunate thing is that our culture is so at odds with nature somehow. So, for example, they try to just kill all of these animals and everything just for the sake of killing and hunting, and they're so aggressive. I think it has to do with the weather. You know, when it's hot, people tend to be a little bit more probably aggressive and hot-headed. But how come are these people this peaceful and they have this thing about, like, you know, being connected to nature, their own religion, their own like thing? I think these people are so much like more at peace than our people. We have a long way to go. But, of course, there are so many similarities because they're always traveling. They're always going in winter.
That's true, too.
They go somewhere, like, a little bit hotter, and then in that they go to mountains. Yeah, in summer they go to mountains. They're always moving all the time. So, yes, absolutely, there's a connection.
But to see these people who are very rich still die the same way that what you've heard is happening to indigenous people. It's like a 23-year-old. There's nothing wrong with him, and he's died, and they don't do any kind of investigation into this.
Nothing, yes. Like, how easily people could have just died at that time. Like, you could just go and kill someone. Somebody could have killed you, robbed
and
you,
no one will.
Nobody
Yeah,
would,
exactly.
Nobody would.
I read somewhere that at that time they didn't have budget that much for police precincts.
Right.
So police precincts were very small, and so if somebody died, individual people would go find out.
Private investigation.
Yeah, but why? Why is that the case? It's not like our civilization is so new that 100 years ago there was no police. What? Right. Why was there no police? There were so many people in the world. They should have gone into that
I don't know. Maybe if you get back in time, tell them to have more police. And they would listen to you.
That's right. They would, for sure. But you think, like, if white people died, they would investigate this. But when an indigenous person dies, they just didn't.
They don't care.
What I love about this, I want to hear your thoughts. I love that it told a story that I didn't know. Like,
absolutely,
that's great.
Yeah.
I had a lot of problems with the movie, but this is good. We should.
I had no idea about this. Yes, Oklahoma had oil, and then these indigenous people found it, and they got rich. And they had this standing and everything in the society that white people would work for them, and they created this whole society. That's so amazing.
Richest people per capita in the world. That's great.
Wow.
And apparently in real life, these Osage people actually knew the land had oil, and so that's why they bought the land. And they moved there because they wanted to get away from white people and live in this land that has oil. So they made the conscious decision.
So that's why they're so intelligent and so conscious, I think, that they just know about this and they're so connected with nature. They ought to have known. I think maybe white people would have taken them a long time to realize that in Oklahoma there was this thing because it was a dry land.
Exactly.
But these people, they're so connected with nature somehow. They realize that. And the scene is so beautiful when they discover the oil. Oh, wow, the music in the background, the slow motion, and the oil is going everywhere.
And that's like the first minute of the film too. So it gets you in really fast.
That's true. And you know what? For example, imagine around our culture, around our relatives, there was so many oil sources around them. But they never discovered anything or got that. How, like, that's what I'm saying. They're not connected to nature. That's why. They went to mountains instead of like going a little bit south, a little bit more. In front of the sea. It was so close to them.
Maybe you should go
exactly.
and tell them.
It's not happening. Oil is... You know, the good thing about America is that it was like a private thing. So if the land, you own the land, the oil was yours. But in Iran, if you own the land and you have oil in it, it's government.
They just take it away.
It's government's. Yeah, it's not yours. Look at that.
Now, I want to hear you say, what did you not like about the movie?
What I didn't like about the movie is the pacing, it's the random cuts, And yeah, pretty much that's it. So, and the length of it, it's so long. They could have told the story in such a very small amount of time. Like, they could have just had it in 2 parts, 2 hours max. The last hour would be the investigation of FBI. The first hour would be the marriage and everything that happened and the killing and all of that. They could have had it like that. Like 3 hours is so dragging, and there were so many similar kind of things that were happening the whole time.
Right.
Like killing this and then going and doing that. Like it was so similar that at some point I was just zoned out. Like it's the same storyline.
It's too long. 3 hours and 30 minutes. I don't think anyone should be allowed to make a 3-hour, 30-minute movie.
Exactly. It should be illegal. But then, also one thing that I didn't like was the random cuts. Like, you go from something and you want to investigate this scene, like, what happened? Then suddenly it cuts to a middle of a scene. I don't know. Somewhere that is, like, everything is so different. The setting is different. The room is different. Everything is different. And then you have to catch up. Okay. Like, what's happening here?
But that's at least exciting, though, isn't it? Then you have to figure out what's going on. And also, they don't show you the beginning of the scene to waste your time. They just go to the middle.
It's just so disconnected, though.
But to think about it, Zone of Interest had this, too. For example, it would show you a bunch of flowers. Then the flowers would turn red. And then suddenly it would cut to 2 girls talking. Like, it has nothing to do with each other.
But at least there was like something in between. So the flower would transition into the red background. The red background would transition to the girls talking. And it was like the music was also connected. So you would realize, like, you hear the sound.
The music was actually not in that one in particular. It's actually crazy. You hear the music. It seems like it's going to go somewhere else. It just cuts away and you're like, was that a mistake? What's going on?
I see. But during the whole thing, I felt like the movie was pretty much like so much more connected. But this one is so random. Like it cuts at the most random time. I didn't really like that one. And the pacing, oh my God. It's slow. Sometimes it gets fast, but it's again like dragging at times, and it's not harmonious. It just doesn't go with it. Like, I don't know. You get disconnected at times.
Between Killers and Zone, which one would you watch again?
I would definitely watch Killers.
Okay, interesting.
Because of DiCaprio. Oh, God.
So despite the pace that you didn't think worked for you, you would watch that one.
Yeah, because like DiCaprio went from Wolf of Wall Street to the Wolf of Osage. So I'm like,
he was not handsome at all in this movie.
No, because like, you don't like him? Oh, that's a shame. Because like you're under 25, so I'm sure like you had a chance. But
he was like,
oh God, he was such an imbecile in this one.
Seriously,
and that's his character. That's why. That just shows he's a good actor. Still got it.
You know what's interesting is he's coming from the war, so he's really like shook up. He doesn't know what's right and wrong anymore.
Yeah, and it's like the Full Metal Jacket. So imagine after the war, these soldiers are so brainwashed again.
Not Joker. Joker had a consciousness, but let's say a different soldier.
He resembles Private Pile to me.
Yeah, that's right.
So, like so easily influenced. Doesn't have a thought of his own, and I'm sure, and also like Private Pile wasn't really a good like soldier in the field. So this guy was also in the kitchen. Definitely that's right, resemblance.
Exactly. And then he comes here, and his uncle is his uncle's like, call me king.
King.
What the hell?
Damn.
But anyway, the uncle is kind of dropping crumbs that I'm like you, I will take care of you, but you have to do these 4 things. Got to stop drinking, got to go out with these ladies. And so now he's on his mind is like, I have to please my uncle.
That's true.
And when has that not happened in your life? I mean, that always happens. You see a figure of authority. And also the uncle is a sheriff, so he thinks this uncle is a good guy. And he starts trying to police him. And before you know it, he makes so many bad decisions.
Yeah, and from the first moment that he sees and meets the uncle, it's like the influence begins. He asks about like whether he likes whites and reds, and he says, I like blues too, and all of that. It's like even maybe loving that girl wasn't something that he consciously did or like actually was his choice, but that was also influenced by the uncle. Everything that happened. And the thing is, like, he says several times that I love money. I love money. I love that Oklahoma accent, you know. Yeah, I want a cowboy hat and my...
I love Molly.
I love Molly. Yeah.
But he says it and he thinks he loves, but really, if you look back, the uncle from the first minute was saying, well, do you like Molly? Do you want to get with Molly?
Yeah.
And so the uncle is like telling him what to do. The first time I watched this movie, I was like, he's so stupid. He's making bad decisions. How could you put poison in this thingy and give it to your wife?
Yeah.
But then the second time,
and it came from Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Oklahoma.
The thing that killed her, actually. You're welcome.
Yeah.
But wait. Oh, I swear.
The thing that killed it. Why is he such an idiot to put that to the
like
insulin?
he does he not know that it's the sister? Does he not know this is gonna go bad? Like, why are you killing the sister?
Does he know or not? He knows because he likes the money. He knows that Molly is, I think, the third child or like the fourth one. So it's like the inheritance would take a long time to get to her, or it would be a little amount. But if he gets rid of the other sisters, it would all go to Molly.
That's right. Okay, and you know what? The other sisters, that's really bad. But I'm glad. I understand. Let's say. But then your wife, who you say you love.
I know. It's because of the fact that he is influenced all the time. He doesn't. He's so insecure. That's the problem with him. And he always conforms to whatever this uncle says.
That's right.
Even like you see in the last scenes when he's like admits that his uncle said things. And then this lawyer comes and talks to him, and everybody in town comes and talks to him. Exactly. Again, he gets influenced. It's like he gets absolutely brainwashed. He doesn't have a thought of his own, and he imagines that something happened that didn't. That the government beat him up, for example.
That would happen to me and you. Like, I know we don't want to admit to this, but if there was a room of people telling us, this is what you should do, you should actually go testify, then we'd be like, but I don't want to. No, you should. Are you stupid? You should have done
It would absolutely work because of this reason, okay? They would say, for example, if I even say to you, oh no, the government did this to you. Like, they wanted that, and they like mentally kind of like brainwashed you or like tortured you. You don't even understand. You're not even aware of it. You would definitely listen to me.
Exactly.
Would you?
I would.
I would like to know that I have this power.
You get brainwashed every day, every minute.
Absolutely.
By things that people say to you. So we'll say we understand.
But the only way that you can be secure is like if you're like Molly, confident in yourself. You don't have to people please. You're not insecure about anything. And you are just your own person. That's the only way. But I have to say, Molly also had this weak point, which was her husband. She didn't see past that, even though she was an intelligent person. Like, in the beginning of the movie, I was sure she was the one that would discover everything. Because, you know, it starts with her describing all the killings and everything that happened and all the victims. And she has this sharp thing about her eyes and the way that she talks, that she's so determined and literate. So you're like, oh, she's the one that is going to discover everything. But then this love puts this filter on her, or this like bias that she has towards her husband that makes her so blind to the obvious things.
Exactly.
Even though like she says that let's get the servants out because I'm sure they would poison my food or something would happen. Everything. I'm not eating anything unless it's tested. But she's willing to get that. Like how did she like?
So that's a good lesson. Don't put your trust in anyone.
Absolutely.
Especially your husband.
Yeah. Exactly. I can't even trust that. Like, I've seen so many movies like this that I'm like, can you even trust your own husband? Can you? No, you can't.
So that's good to know. When you're in a situation with a group of people, you will get brainwashed.
Yes.
This is a fact.
The only thing you can do is to guard your mind. Be aware that you would get influenced. Try to at least be in better groups that are like more positive at least. And try not to so much, like, you know, not even groups, okay? You feel like if you're isolated, you would be your own person. No. You shouldn't even read books.
Yeah, I know.
You shouldn't.
Anything you listen to.
Anything you listen
YouTube.
to, not even us.
Exactly.
We're the exception, but what else? Like media, movies, all of these stuff. News. Oh my God, I quit news a long time ago. It's so crazy. But our dads are addicted to that.
That's true.
No matter how much I tell my dad that don't watch these news, they're made to make this negative influence on you. He doesn't listen. He doesn't understand because he's addicted to that. It's been a long time. And for us too, like right now at this moment, I'm dreading, watching a movie or like reading a book, because I know it will influence my writing,
on your mind.
My mind. Absolutely. And I'm like, but sometimes I'm like, should I write or should I read something?
I know, right?
Because both of them are kind of the same. Like reading contributes to my writing. But then I'm like, oh, screw the reading. Like it was that person's thoughts and mind and everything that will influence your writing. So forget it.
You broke my brain. I don't even know how to go forward now, because I thought I discovered something great is if you consume something, media, book, anything, and then you form your own ideas about it. Because I used to just read and you would just be brainwashed fully. But now I take a break and I think, okay, well, here's my thoughts on the subject matter that I'm reading about. And that would, like, in one part help me understand it better.
Right.
Especially if it's educational, like if it's history related or something like this. And then part two is I would actually feel stimulated, like as you said. Yeah. And like feel like I'm having philosophical discussions with the author. But now you're saying that's a bad thing.
I'm saying yes. So I used to do that a lot. Like I'm reading something and I'm like, oh no, that's so bad. Why would you write this? Or like react so badly or good or agree. And reaction is bad. Reaction, even the fact that I'm saying reaction is bad is also bad. Okay. And it's like a loop that is going on because you're not supposed to judge anything. You're not supposed to react to it.
But how can you understand it if you don't engage with it?
Just see it and be aware of what your mind thinks, yes, what your mind reacts to, and then realize that it's not supposed to be true. It's not even true, maybe. It's just there, I guess.
Okay.
Like, I guess a detached kind of like thing, idea that you have of your mind and of yourself and everything around you.
This reminds me of a few episodes back when you said you should live in the moment and you shouldn't care about deadlines at all. And I was like, that's wrong. You're so stupid. But
that
then,
was a reaction.
Yeah, exactly. Like 2 days later, I realized you were so right. My life has been a lie. So I think now I'm going through the same thing. Like you're telling me you shouldn't react at all. And I'm thinking, how can you understand anything if you don't?
And I'm also doing the same thing. Like I'm practicing this every day. It's so hard when you've always been reacting to things all the time. My dad always tells me that you react too quickly. That's been something that he's always told me, like a bad quality that I have. And I've never got that until recently what it actually meant. It's just that everything that comes, like I immediately react to it, whether I'm scared, whether I'm surprised, whether I think you can tell that by the way I'm even talking. It's just that reaction is like the killer of the flower moon. It's the killer of your mind, of yourself, of your true self. You identify with that reaction. You think it's right. You try to defend it now. Yeah. Even I should even defend this idea.
Right. Wow. Okay. There you go. Go change your life with this information.
And this kind of like philosophy, if you have that, it's like so similar, I think, to Molly's or like people that are just so at peace because you just don't care. Like Molly didn't even react when the husband realized that the husband killed all the family. She didn't react. Some people maybe see that and say like, oh, that's maybe bad acting or that this character is dead. What is she like doing? No, that's actually the best, like the most original, unique acting I've seen, first of all, of a confident person. A truly confident person is exactly like that, yeah. Like, I know it may seem obvious and you would say, oh, I would never get influenced by those words. I'm not that idiot. But when you actually, like, are in this situation, imagine someone that is, as you say, an authority that you respect, you look up to, and he says these things over and over to you, and so that you would take it no matter what. Like, at least in their presence, you would try to do whatever they say.
Even imagine this is the last scene they have together. This is when DiCaprio has decided he's going to give the uncle away.
Right.
And so he's made his decision. And he comes in, uncle is like, don't make a decision you're going to regret for the rest of your life. Make sure you know what you're doing. Do you want your family to suffer? Do you know what this means? And so he keeps going back to back, like making this guy lose sight of what is right.
Yes.
And he ends it with even, I love you, son. Don't forget that I'm the one who loves you. son. Like, and this guy has been looking for a dad. So he says this. And as he's going away, he keeps, and while you're listening, you're like, oh,
don't get influenced.
I know.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get influenced. And
Thank God.
Like, oh, wow, good job. Like, I would have gotten influenced there.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, this character was such a follower. What was the thing that changed him? It was the death of his child that made him, like, stand up for the truth.
Exactly.
That was, like, the last straw. He definitely did love the wife and his kids. But he was all wrong about everything. The way, the path. The thing is, like, people, as I said, people are always looking for life, right? They're always looking for life, whether they know it or not. And this person is looking for life in either money, or he thinks, like, if he has more money, he will have more life. Or that if he has more money, his family will be finally together and they will be one and they would have more life. So he's thinking about it this way. But it all goes wrong because it's fundamentally wrong.
I know. But it still doesn't make sense to me, like how he thought, if I have money, my family will be happy. But to get money, I have to first destroy my family. But this, again, happens every day. I mean, you, like, imagine a parent says, once I make enough money, my family will be happy. Yeah. But to do that, I have to not hang out with my family at all. I have to work 80-hour days.
Exactly.
You could just be happy with your family without the money.
Or, like, do something at the same, like, you can do it at the same time. People are never that busy to not spend time with their family.
Exactly. Or you could just work 1 hour less every day.
Ah, God, I don't know. It's just that we are influenced by so many things around us, especially now. Imagine it would have been easier maybe, like, before technology and all of this. But in this day and age, oh, God, everything is pulling our attentions away from us that we don't even know who we are. We're so lost. Like, no wonder the depression rate is this high. And no wonder all these things are happening. Like, it's because we're so pulled away from ourselves. Before, it would have been easier to have those revelations. Maybe some people think, oh, why aren't there any, like, I don't know, new, what do they call them, prophets or something? It's maybe... Now I thought about this. Like, maybe it's because of the fact that we have so many things that take us away in our mind, away from ourselves. So we never get to know ourselves and we never get to know God. It's just that we never get to those revelations because we're so lost and so pulled away, so stimulated all the time.
Recently, I've been noticing every time you look at your phone, it's like you get sucked into this black hole and life continues going on, but you're just scrolling and answering texts.
And then suddenly you become aware and you realize how you're sitting.
Yeah, you're just looking in here instead of at the world. It's so problematic. And the problem is, like, once you start looking at the phone, then new things keep coming. If you're on YouTube, a new video is recommended. If you are texting, a new person texts. So you just, the 1 second that you were on turns into 5 minutes and 20 minutes.
Yes.
It's so bad.
I know.
Throw the phones away.
I mean, they're designed for that. So, wow.
Now, wait, I have 2 questions for you. And then let's talk about the Oscar race and where these 2 films sit. What do you think is the purpose of a movie?
What is the purpose of a movie? Is to influence people's minds also.
Exactly.
And
just
their
because,
emotions.
like, me and you, we love these movies that we want to keep going back to. Like, we always say, oh, I'll always watch Casablanca.
There will be blood. So similar to Killers of Flower Moon.
That's true.
Let's dig up oil and go to California. Yeah.
There was a character in Killers that looked exactly like Daniel Plainview.
I think I kind of remember one of the killers.
One of the killers
of the Flower Moon. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll put a picture of that guy. So here's the thing. There's those movies that we want to keep watching, whereas The Zone of Interest and Killers, we're probably not going to watch often, even though they're really good movies, especially The Zone of Interest.
Yes.
So if we're not going to keep watching it, then what was the purpose of this film?
It's not about rewatching the movies. I also thought about this, like, exactly the same way. Like, we got to make movies that people want to rewatch all the time. But I guess it's not even the purpose. The purpose is to make a movie that makes such an lasting impression, message, emotion that is imprinted on the people's mind. So every decision they make in their life is influenced by this. So they live their lives based on what you told them. And they destroy their lives like that.
Well, if you say something good, then they will improve their lives. But
it's
a mode of influencing.
Why would you use your power to do something good in the world when you can be evil?
What's going on with you today? I need to know. Interesting. So it is to entertain, it is to be rewatchable, but not always.
Right.
Mainly it is to actually get an emotional statement out. But what do you think makes a good movie? Like if you watched a movie, what about it would make you say that one is good and this one is not good?
Okay, I think I have to look at it a little bit different. There are two ideas I have about this. So if a movie is, my mind says a movie is good, that means that it has influenced my mind. So it has had an emotion, a feeling, something that it conveyed to me that it makes my character for the, kind of like alters my character for the next month or two or a year probably. So I would be a different kind of person after watching that. But still, I would be a follower. So that's like a good movie for my mind, probably. My mind would like that. But that wouldn't be necessarily good for me because now I'm just influenced by something that I'm not even aware of. So a good movie may be something that would influence you, but in a positive way, not really put like, what is it called, like a negative emotions or anything or something like that. Just so, because like movies would influence you anyway, so might as well, it would be something a little bit more positive.
The thing is, there isn't that many movies in the world that are super negative. Like, imagine if there was a Zone of Interest movie that was about the Nazis, how good they were. Like, no one would watch that because why would you subject yourself to this?
Why would there be a movie about them anyway?
Like, let's say someone was crazy enough to make that. But you
But
wouldn't
the thing
watch
is,
this.
also, there's also another reason to make movies. Or good movies, is that if it shows the history and what happened, so people could learn a lesson from it, which these two movies do. So you could learn a lesson from this and not do these things.
That's true.
But if you are like so influenced by maybe the actors or something and you think they're cool, for example, Wolf of Wall Street that we were talking about, like you get to see like they make it glamorize the drugs, the sex, the everything that is happening. Like you're like, oh, I want to do that. If you're cool, you do these things. But that's a problematic one.
Now, we have like a few minutes to talk about the Oscars. But just before, what did you think about this last scene where there's a radio play?
Oh my God.
And then the director even comes in.
So, I know. It's just that it just shows the reality of what happened. Like this horrific thing happened there. And these people are making it as a show, as something to make light of, and it's just so ironic. It's so funny, but not in a good way. It's not funny, haha. It's funny, like what the fuck. It's like look how shallow people are, how superficial they are. They're talking about these murderers. They're talking about these terrible things that happen to these innocent people in such a tone, in such a way.
I know. They're putting cigarette advertisements in there. And they're like putting sound effects to make it fun. And then they make it about FBI figured out this mystery that was happening.
That reminded me also of this podcast that I said earlier in the episode. It was like about investigating these murders and these murders that happened for these like young indigenous girls. And they're just making it's like a podcast, right? So they have to make it interesting with sounds, with everything that is happening. Well, maybe it's also the same thing. Exactly. Who knows?
Even though it's so long, Killers of the Flower Moon, if you think about the radio play part, where they make it look cool and there's sound effects and it's so fast, then you realize there was a reason that it's long. It's so that we can play it really slowly out and not really dramatize it and just show you exactly what happened in real life, instead of like making you engaged, because that's not our job here. It's just to show you what happened.
Oh, that's such a good interpretation. Wow.
So maybe the Oscars will like that.
I know, that's so good. Such a good point. Wow, I'm so surprised at this one.
So now that brings us to comparing these two films and their artistry. And which one do you think will get awarded at the Oscars? Not that you should even compare films like this, but we have to now.
Right.
No choice.
So Oscars, we have to think about like different awaards. So which award do you think actually? What are they nominated for?
Let's compare Best Picture now. One thing is, Killers was very long and strenuous and not rewatchable. But then Zone of Interest is not rewatchable at all either.
Right.
So you can't even...
Best Picture. But also, like, if it's 3 hours, there ought to be so many great, beautiful scenes that it could get. Like the chances of getting a reward maybe is higher. So Zone of Interest is absolutely beautiful. Like look at the natural beauty. I even wanted to go to Germany after watching that.
You're so crazy. Okay.
After Casablanca, I want to go to Casablanca after this. I'm so brainwashed. And then here, like we see these rivers and these mountains and this nature and the garden and all of that, but it's also at the same time just these ones. Like it's natural beauty.
So
nothing
simple.
That they did, and it's like always repeated, so it's the same place. Like there are two, garden and this place, that they keep showing.
Yeah, and the nighttime vista vision.
Right. But this one, Killers of the Flower Moon, oh my god, there's so long and it has so many scenes everywhere. We see the whole town.
And the budget was 200 million for Killers, while for Zone it was 15 million. So the budget
200 million?
they had lots of money to go around.
Yeah, I can
like
tell.
the Osage County, all of the money from the Osage County was taken to make this movie.
I guess so, yes. Wow. So what is your opinion like on the Killers of...
I would say Oscars like German movies, it looks like. So last year, even Best International Feature was a film about German war.
Oh my.
And it was actually from the perspective of the German soldiers, and so despite all of this, it won. And so it makes me think like Oscars like movies that show Germany in them and like that talk about the war, that like
about its glory and all.
Well, not the glory, but they show like the atrocities and all this. So that's a topic that Oscars like.
They also like wokeness, so they would
really
also
like wokeness.
So Killers of the Flower Moon then also.
Exactly. And Killers has so many iconic actors that Oscars loves. And I'm sure Lily Gladstone will win Best Actress, though.
Yes, she actually won 2 awards recently. Golden Globes for Best Actress, and another one I saw earlier. I just didn't know what the award was, but again.
It's hard to say.
Best Actress. She is absolutely incredible. She started talking in her native language in the awards, and I didn't even know like she could speak this good, because you see it in the movie, but still.
They speak slowly in the movie.
Yeah, but such a cool language. And so, yeah, I'm sure she will absolutely win something.
And Zone of Interest it was a really new way of filming too.
Yes.
So imagine putting hidden cameras, and so it was like nothing to do with real movie making.
Exactly.
Super different.
So many scenes that were new.
Exactly. And also Holocaust. Nobody tackles this topic because they don't know how to go about it. So the fact that he did this and didn't show any violence, and so it was very new. Like the whole film was really new.
Exactly. It was such a new one. So, but also like it's such a tough one now if you think about it. Like one has all these famous actors and this famous director, and the topic is also like very woke and something that would get them.
And the topic is American as well. It's American history.
Exactly. And the other movie is about also topics that would have gotten Oscar before, but it's also in German.
It's German. It's very quiet. It's very still.
Quiet. Yes.
It's not conventional.
They're not.
Okay, final vote. Which one would win?
Killers, I think.
Okay, I think Zone of Interest.
Okay. Okay, you have to comment it.
Tell us which one you think will win the Oscar.
We should have a poll.
Yes, which one between these two, and also which one between all of the films. There's other films, and they might even beat out this conformity denial topic.
Yeah.
Anything is possible at the Oscar race.
Exactly. But do you think Leonardo would win something?
No,
I don't think
Leonardo has already won before.
Yeah.
And
but not Oscars,
he
ever.
Won. He did.
Last year?
I think in 2016 he won for the first time after 30 years.
Okay.
And in this one, he didn't play a memorable guy.
Yeah.
Like Lily was the memorable.
That's true. That's so true.
It's not possible. Thank you so much for watching this episode.
You.
Let us know your thoughts on the incredible but really hard to watch Zone of Interest and the slow but amazing still Killers of Flower Moon.
Yes.
The Flower Moon.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. Please subscribe to our channel, and we can't wait to hear about your ideas about these movies and who do you think will win the Oscars.
Amazing. Okay, I'll be reading every comment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and have a good day. Bye.